Hi, I am Molly. Welcome to Dirty Moms Yoga. You will notice it's a little different today. So we're just going to try this. This is the third time we are attempting to record this podcast. Our audio just does not want to work and line up, and things just keep going wrong, which is just very, very interesting, considering things that generally tend to happen in our house. So makes it exciting. But I wanted to start a little podcast, and this goes off from yoga. I'll talk about yoga here or there as well, but this is more going to be giving you an experience of what it is like to be a high-risk pregnancy mama, and really what that means, at least for me, on high risk. Everybody's different. So with that, you will notice that a lot of my videos have kind of leaned off a little bit on the physical practice. We started the how-to series, which has been really exciting, and I still have one more that's going to come at you really soon. Make sure you check those out, and then make sure you check out some of those physical practices using those tips from the how-to series to see if it just deepens into your practice. We started Dirty Moms Yoga as a way just to be authentic. There was a lot of reasons, bringing yoga to people who weren't comfortable taking yoga in studios. I was right when the pandemic started. I had lost my job. Along with that, what we didn't expect was for me to get pregnant. For us to get pregnant has always been a challenge. I wouldn't per se, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to try not to ramble too much on these podcasts. But a friend of mine suggested that I come on and just kind of offer some insight on how I handle being high risk, and how I can keep my mental sanity through it. That might help other parents out there and maybe some other moms out there as well. Because it wasn't something that I expected. So like I said, it took us a while to get pregnant. My son, who you've seen in a couple of my videos, is 7 now, and he was a challenge to make, if you will. It took us over a year to get pregnant with him. And then shortly after, we had a couple losses. And we had one really big one, Blueberry. And she would have been, she'd be 4 right now. Her birthday's in September. September 7th would be, she'd be 5 this year. So while a lot of people ask us, well, aren't you going to have more kids? I have a few choice words for those people, but I keep it nice. I do. I've tried. We've tried. Please stop asking parents if they're going to have more children. It's none of your business. You don't know what they're going through. And you don't understand how difficult it is to have that conversation and have people ask you that. But due to losing Blueberry, there's my little platform for you, or my little soapbox. Because we lost Blueberry, we don't know why. We had to go through all these tests. We tested her tiny little body. I did have to deliver her. And we tested me, and basically we just came up with no answers. We have no answers to why we lost this child. And so they chalked it up to me having an incompetent cervix. Isn't that an interesting technical term? Incompetent cervix. Basically, just means my cervix can't do the job that it's supposed to do. And so for Blueberry, what happened was the cervix just opened. And I started delivering earlier than I was supposed to, a lot earlier. And unfortunately, we weren't at viability at that time. So she wasn't even going to survive the labor. We had no chance. So grueling hours of dealing with that. And then a lot of therapy for myself. My husband ended up doing some therapy as well for him. And then seeing the aftermath and after effects that did for our son as well. It really changed our family dynamics. It changed our family. So because of the incompetent cervix, we weren't even sure, and because of that loss, we weren't even sure if we were going to have any more kids. We thought maybe this is it. Guy was our rainbow baby before we even had the storm. So we did end up getting pregnant a couple years later, and unfortunately that was Poppy. Poppy had a genetic condition that would not be livable. So basically, either my body would abort the baby would be a stillbirth, like Poppy was, or like Blueberry was, or baby who we named Poppy. Poppy would be, could potentially last the entire pregnancy, deliver, and then die moments later. So instead of putting our family through the challenges that we went through with Blueberry, we decided to abort the baby. And thankfully we have that option in our state to be able to do that. And we're not even going to go down that road on that conversation. So with that, we just, again, thought, well, this is just not going to happen for us. And we ended up just kind of accepting that Guy was going to be it. Well, this was now 3 years ago, and we decided, let's try. I'm getting older, and if we want to do it, let's do it now. So we tried. We tried not trying. We tried the whole, let's just get really drunk and see what happens. And, we tried pretty much everything besides the infertility treatments. And it got down to the point where it just wasn't happening. And we basically had the conversation of, you know what? It's just not in our cards. So all of a sudden, not even realizing it when we're talking to our OB about this, we were pregnant and didn't even know it, which is what happened with Guy. We tried, talked to our OB. Little do we know that at the time we were pregnant. So we took that as a good sign for this pregnancy. We were pregnant without even knowing it. So we were ready for the challenges ahead on what that meant for us. So we already knew that I was high risk. We already knew that I was going to have a procedure for my incompetent cervix called a cerclage. And that takes place usually at the end of your first trimester, beginning of your second trimester. So we're usually around 12, 14 weeks. And they go in and they suture your cervix closed so it cannot dilate. So it can hold the weight, essentially. If you're dilating, you're going into labor. I can't help that. If my body's ready, my body's ready. Hi. Guy wants to say hi. We are doing a podcast right now. I need you to go back to school. Nope. Go. Remote learning. I knew this was going to happen.
I need help. I don't know which one goes, here or here.
Well, you'll just have to do the best you can. I know you can do it.
I need your help. Sorry about that.
Stop. Close the door. Gently close the door, and please go finish your schoolwork. Oh my gosh. Okay. So with that, I had to get the cerclage. So cerclage, it was a really simple, easy procedure, in and out, bing, bang, boom, legs up in those stirrups, all the way back to my ears. It was super fun. So I can't even feel it, which is thankful. And so with that, I knew I wasn't able to lift more than 10 pounds. I knew already that I'd have to adjust this channel with my yoga. And things were just going to have to kind of go on the back burner, and that was okay. We were prepared for it. We were ready for it. And we were willing to take those risks and those chances to do this. So not only is my cervix incompetent, but I'm also almost 40. And so that also makes me high risk. Did you know, if you're almost 40, I think it's after 35 or 36 years old, if you become pregnant, they call you geriatric. Far from geriatric. But that puts you as high risk as well. Even though I'm healthy, I work out, I eat very well, I do my yoga, I meditate, and they still consider me geriatric. Whatever. Well, approximately around a week, I would say 21 weeks, I was still working, still doing yoga a little bit, backed off a lot, as you saw on my channel, by getting a lot of pressure in my pelvis and in my stomach area where the baby is. The baby's pretty tiny at that point, so I'm I don't remember this with Guy, but I am older. Maybe I just don't remember. Well, it got to the point one day at work, it was really uncomfortable, and it felt like I was 40 weeks pregnant carrying instead of 20 weeks pregnant carrying. And that started freaking me out a little bit. So I called my OB. They had me come in. They checked the baby and they checked me, and everything looks great. Cerclage is still good. Nothing's popped. And baby looks healthy. Baby's active. Baby's moving. And so they said, we need to get you to viability, which is 24 weeks, which was 3 weeks later. And so they said, you got to go on bed rest. And I looked at him and said, excuse me? What do you mean I have to go on bed rest? I have a job. Well, you're going to have to sit out for a while until we get you to viability. Once you get to viability, baby has a better chance that if I go into labor and I deliver, baby has a better chance of surviving, which is, and then what we want, right? We want a healthy baby. So I let my office know. I let the doctor that I work for know as well. And thankfully, they were extremely understanding. They already knew that I was high risk. And they said, okay, take as much time as you need. Just keep us updated. So made it through, survived my 3 week of bed rest. And I was able to do some activity. I wasn't just stuck in bed the entire time. But as soon as I felt pressure, and I felt that pressure in the pelvis or anything uncomfortable like cramping, I had to go sit down. And we're not talking sitting, I have to be reclined. So no pressure, no gravity, as little gravity as possible into that pelvis is what we're looking for until viability. So 3 weeks went by, it was a struggle. Reached out to friends, said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And what's the most interesting is everybody just kept saying, enjoy this time, rest, pick up a new hobby, read a book, binge Netflix. And what they didn't realize was, that's probably what I would have said to somebody as well. But what that ended up to me was, that's not me. I don't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to sit down and binge a Netflix show. I do it every once in a while, but for 3 weeks, I don't sit and read a book. I have a very short attention span. So even if I picked up a hobby, sometimes I crochet, which I'm not very good at, but I do it, 20 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm bored. I need something else. But I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. And so what people, as encouraging and as supportive as they were trying to be, it wasn't helpful. It didn't work for me. And I had one friend who was one of the friends that recommended I try this and just see, give some insight to some other people on high risk and what this means is, this must be really hard for you. You are a mover. I said, yes, thank you. I am a mover, big time mover, and I don't know how to sit still. I'm always doing something. I'm always fidgeting, or I'm always, I either clean or I have, an activity I give myself for the day, or now that it's beautiful outside here in the Chicago area, I garden. I play with my son. I take yoga. I do yoga on my own, and I couldn't do any of that. And I didn't know what that meant, and it freaked me out. Absolutely freaked me out. And my days just were so long. I did my first week, I did kind of binge. I went through the entire Harry Potter movie series, and that was fantastic. My son is in school right now, so I don't have as many distractions with him, but he gets all these mini breaks throughout the day. He's remote learning, so that kind of helped break up my day a little bit. And then all I want to do now is nest, because I know what we have, but that means that for Zach, that's more on his plate. Because one thing I didn't mention is that even though I'm high risk, Zach is also going through this, and so is Guy. And sometimes people forget that as well. And so, we always have to make sure we check in with those who maybe aren't necessarily the ones carrying the child, but are also trying to be the support system and trying to hold it together for that person as well. So the spouses, the partners, the children, the family members who are there, they're going through it as well. So Zach had to, along with his full-time job, take over all the duties that I do in the house, which is a lot. I work part-time, so I am, kind of the cooker, the cleaner. I shop, I make the lists. If there's things that I can't do, I have him do. He's got his things that he does in the house as well. And so he's not only doing his lists, he's doing my lists as well, along with still trying to be, father number one, which he is fantastic at. So, he's experiencing this as well as I am. So we've been going through this together now. And now we've survived. So anyway, each day I try to take it a day at a time now. And every day is different. Some days I have better days. Sometimes I have really bad days. And I just try to tell myself that's okay. I had one day I just couldn't stop crying. It was last week. And I just cried. I was unhappy, sad, scared, terrified that I'm going to go into labor. Every, pain or ache that I have, it freaks me out. And I've got to, do my best to hold it together for my family. But at the same time, I have to make sure I don't hold it in too much, because that's not healthy either. So there's a big push and pull in regards to, the sacrifices we're making for this high-risk pregnancy. So now let's fast forward. So I'll try to give tips and advice that I've been doing as we go along, with this podcast. We'll see how it goes. So if you have questions, if you're somebody who has experienced the high risk or know somebody who has, please leave a comment. I'd be willing to have a conversation with you, or if there's something you want to hear, how I handled or what I did or didn't do. I'm pretty much an open book, so I'll do the best I can. But now, let's see, we are now in 25 weeks, so we made it to viability. I ended up going with some supplemental shots at around week 24 to speed up baby's lung development. So there's been a lot that's happened now in the past 4 to 5 weeks that I've been put on this bed rest. So we made it to viability, and then I said, okay, well, we want you to get to 28 weeks now. So another 4 weeks of bed rest. Limited movement bed rest is what I call it. Which I kind of knew I wasn't going back to work. I had that instinct just because I know what I do at work is I'm running around like crazy, bending a lot, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do it with this pregnancy. Eventually I knew I was going to have to stop. So I just kind of went in knowing, but still wasn't prepared. So I got my shots. It was like nothing. Got it right in the butt. One shot one day, one shot the other day. And that is going to speed up the lung development for baby. So if I do carry, or if I do deliver early, baby will have a better chance at breathing on their own than if they would if we didn't do it. And there's no issue with it. If I carry full term, baby's just going to have really super strong lungs, which is great. So we did end up doing that. From here, it's just waiting now. So I've got my glucose screening in 4 weeks. That's fun. I'll talk about that later. So I got my shot. I got my cerclage. I'm still on limited bed rest. And from here, it's just taking it a day at a time. Preparing for baby. I'm at that point now where I'm getting really anxious on getting things together and ready, making sure that I have all the parts that I need for my breast pump, and that I have the bedding and the clothing cleaned, that we tie-dyed over the weekend, which did not come out very well. I should have brought some in. Maybe I'll bring that next podcast. I'll show you what we made. And it's just getting ready because baby's going to be sleeping in our bedroom for a while, because we only have a 2-bedroom house. We were going to build a 3rd bedroom in the basement, but things kind of got in the way, and I don't currently have a paying job. I still have a job, but I'm not getting paid. So we kind of had to push that as well. So baby's going to be sleeping with us. We got to make room for her and still have Peg, the dog, in with us as well. So from here, it's just taking those deep breaths, reminding myself it's going to be okay, and that we are going to make it to 40 weeks. So I'm more than halfway there. We got a long way to go, and we have a lot to do still. So I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have questions, if you have anything that's you're curious about on high risk, ask away. What I ask all of you to do is take deep breaths with me, because whether you're going through this or not, taking a deep breath can always make your day better, make you feel better. If you know somebody who is going through something right now, be there for them. Don't even ask what they need. Just call and listen. Say, I'll be an ear for you. Because a lot of times when people ask me, I'll do anything, whatever you need, just give me a call. I'm not going to call you. Most people are not going to call you because they don't want to be a bothersome. That's how we are. We don't want to be a bothersome. We've got this. We really do. And if we do need help, we will call and ask. But right now, we just need the support. Those people around you who are going through this, they need that support. They need to know that you're just going to be there for them. Show up with food. Show up with, whatever it is that they're needing. If you know that person, you'll know what they need. Just show up and bring it. I think they'll appreciate that. Yeah, that's my podcast. Not super fun, but I wanted to at least talk about it a little bit. So, enjoy your beautiful days. Make sure you check out all of the other videos of Dirty Moms Yoga. I'm going to try to get some new things up for you as well. And we're going to have some fun things happening soon that Zach is going to essentially start taking over the channel, which could be very interesting and entertaining. So I'm excited for that as well. But for now, thank you so much for joining in on our podcast number 1. Make sure, as always, you subscribe, you like it, you share it, and just take a moment today. Your tip for the day is just sit down and take a deep breath, or go outside and take a deep breath, and just take a moment to be grateful. So thank you for joining in for Dirty Moms Yoga, and with that, I'll end off, as always, as namaste.